Back on Mustang Resurrection today. We left it with a nice clean engine bay, but there's still quite a lot of work to do in order to get everything stripped out of there so we can sand it. It's going to be the majority of the work today, sanding, prepping for paint. I want to try to get that thing in paint as soon as possible, so I'm getting anxious to get that new motor in. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, as you can see, I did a little bit of preliminary work off camera to get ready. I took the fenders off. I took the hood latch and its support off. I removed all the brake lines and the distribution block from this apron here. I did a little bit of sanding in preparation for patching. That needs patched. There's 2 holes on the back side of the shock tower that also need patched up. I started sanding just a little bit on the core support here just to see how easily that old paint will come off. So I hit it with a DA just quickly. It's going to go pretty smooth. I have the hood latch over here and the support. I took it apart and lightly sandblasted everything. So I will hit that probably a little bit better with the blaster. It's pretty clean, but I will blast that a little bit better. Get that ready for paint. Here's the fenders. I took the rocker moldings off. Those had to come off to get the fenders off. This gem was hiding underneath the passenger fender. Electric antenna, period correct. Straight into the trash with it. So, next step, before I start doing any sanding, is I want to get the structural stuff done. I want to get these holes patched in, and most of all, I want to deal with this. Sorry for the bad lighting, it's very sunny out here, but I've shown this before in other videos. That's the only rust in this whole engine bay. So that's got to get cut out and make a patch and get that welded in. I want to do that before I get too deep with sanding. Just make sure that all the structural stuff is sorted out. Really great news, when I took the fenders off, there's no rust in here at all. All the factory undercoating still in there, no rust in here. A little bit of surface rust, but nothing structural at all. Cowl is excellent. Nothing going on up in there, as nearest I can tell. I will pull the plugs and see. It is full of pine needles. So I will have to do some vacuuming and get creative to get all that crap out of there, but as far as I can tell, the cowl is perfect. There's no structural rust at all. This is just dirty. Same over here. Absolutely solid, just a little bit of surface rust. Very, very solid car. I'm very pleased with it. Same with the other side. Nothing structural. Just a little bit of surface rust. Has a lot of the undercoating still on. Same cowl situation over here, nice and solid. Very dirty. That's why we're doing this. Let's get it cleaned up. Okay. First things first, I'm going to start cutting over here and get that rot cut out so we can make a patch. length floor pan here that I got to repair the rust in the passenger side. The rust is just right here, so I only need really this little chunk. So I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of this for patches. There's a little tiny spot in the floor of the driver's side, and I think that's it. So this is the same gauge as the floors and all the aprons as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use this to make my patch for the battery tray apron. Think I got my money's worth? So after a little more trimming, you can see I got a really nice fit with this panel. I rounded up that back edge there to move into the contour of the existing panel. I got nice gaps all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up the original apron metal and get that ready to weld and get it tacked in. So as you can see, I've got some pitting in this area. It looks a lot worse than it is. It's not that bad, but I do want to get all the rust out of those pits before I do any welding. So I'm going to go ahead and get my little mobile sandblaster set up and blast all that stuff out of there. So that I can weld this new piece in, and then I will continue to strip and sand all the rest of this stuff. This is the worst of it. Okay, much better. I got all those pits blasted out. That's about as clean as I can humanly make it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this piece tacked up, and we'll take it from there. Alright, I got my patch cleaned up, and I hit this front edge with weld through primer. That goes here along this seam, so I also hit that with weld through primer. And I just did a light coat around all the sandblasted area of the weld through as well, just to protect it a little bit. So I will go ahead and let that dry for a few minutes and start welding it in. Okay, I got this panel in, all welded up. I didn't bore you with a million little tack welds, and I didn't dress the welds completely because this part is totally hidden under the battery tray. So I'll just put a little skim of filler on. The outside I dressed pretty good because it will have undercoating on it. I want it to be nice and smooth. So that's this piece sorted. Moving on to this guy here. And there's also two more of these on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and hog out the inside here with the little grinding wheel and make this part smooth and round and get rid of all the rust and the corrosion on that edge so I can make a nice weld. Here we go. Best way to make little patches like this, give it the old dirty thumb routine. There you go. This is the easiest way I've found to transfer your pattern onto metal. Just a real light coat of the Super 77 or any kind of spray adhesive, really do the trick. And stick the sucker on there. It's also equally important to make sure that you're using the same gauge of material. This is a piece of an old shock tower, so I know it's exactly the same, but you can just measure the gauge and get something that's as close as possible. That way your welds penetrate sort of evenly on both pieces of metal. You get nice clean repair. Okay, let's cut it out. So I hit it a few times with a hammer, you can see there, just to dish it out a little bit, because that shock tower is rounded in both directions, so it just has a little slightest little bit of dish to it now, and it should fit just fine. Can't do much better than that. Perfect. I will go ahead and weld it up. Okay, go ahead and clean it up with the grinder. So I will get those done, same process, same exact thing, just 2 more times. So let me get that sorted out. So, very tidy repair, happy with that. Next thing is to start sanding all this crap out. All this old paint and rust and whatever the hell all that is, and get this thing as smooth and clean as possible. Let's get to work. couple observations as I work on this stuff. These aprons were not very straight from the factory. All kinds of wrinkles up here in the top and things. So as like a cost and reward kind of a thing, if you spend a little bit of time now with the hammer and dolly, you can get those really straight, and it looks really nice to have those finished really flat and smooth. So I'm gonna spend the time now, I already have done this whole side, and I did this side actually too, to hammer and dolly these out and make sure that they're as straight as I can get them. That way I can put just a really light skim of filler across and make them perfectly flat. Only about this much of it shows, but it really looks nice to have that really flat when you do that. So it's particularly bad on this Fender Apron here. You can see in there those wrinkles. I've hammered those out and dollied them out. They're nice and smooth now, or pretty smooth. And then this piece here, you can see all these wrinkles. Same thing, I've really spent the time and hammer and dollied that all out. It's actually really good. So I will put a really thin layer of filler on that and block it out just so it's perfect, but spend a little bit of time now and get it done right. The other thing is this other VIN on this side. So that's 1, 2, 3, all matching VINs. So I know that this thing was never smashed really bad in the front. Never had to have any of these aprons replaced. They're all original. VIN is on all 3 of them. That's wonderful. So I'm just gonna keep on sanding, keep on cleaning, and shortly here we'll get this thing ready to go. Whoa, hey, yeah! That's kind of fun, huh? All right, my dear viewers, that's gonna do it for this one. This video is getting kind of long. We did get a lot done. Got all the sort of structural repairs done to the engine bay. Got the patches done, and started prepping for paint by removing some grime and beating the hell out of the Fender Apron tops. Try to smooth those out. I'll give you a little sneak peek. What is that? Is that sanded metal? By God. Oh, not too much. Not too much, not too much. You want to see a grown man sand metal, you're going to have to tune in for the next one, okay? So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss it. It's going to be exciting beyond anything you've ever experienced. That's a guarantee. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.